Magituru M. Sadi,
Mangitiru Adam.
and we are young
Black. Oh, my
and
bad.
married.
That was bad. Let's do it again. My bad. I get used to that.
Magituru M. Sadi,
Mangitiru Adam.
and we are young
Black.
and married. So we're starting this series because we feel like, we kind of have a niche where we are young, we're black, and we're married. I feel like people in our demographic, I guess is what you want to say.
I guess, right.
People that are in our demographic, we don't have too many examples of that. It's like when you're young and black and married, it's like a joke to some people because they don't believe that it's gonna last. Or
it's crazy. A lot of people don't even think that it's possible.
Yeah.
To be, or they look at it like it's stupid.
Yeah.
A lot of people actually, I feel like a lot of people look at it like it's stupid. Like you shouldn't get married too early and you're settling down too fast without experiencing your life.
Right. Or you start to lose friends because of the culture of being black. And so once you get married, it's like whatever friends kind of start to drift away from you not because of, well, I guess that's because of changes.
Yeah. It's a lot of changes.
In yourself, and them realizing that change and not accepting it.
Just being married takes you off the market, right? You ain't in the streets no more.
Right.
So at that point, you're not going outside as much to go to the club and go do all the rah-rah stuff.
Not saying
that you won't, because we just saw Usher serenade somebody and it turned out bad. So you gotta let your woman still go out and have fun. But definitely it's gonna be a switch up because you can't, even as a man, right? We can't expect to go out with our boys every night to the bar or whatever, or go, watch a game or something. We gotta adjust the family. So that's definitely true.
Right. And so we have this niche, and we kind of want to start talking to you guys just about us. I mean, about how we met, having kids at a young age, and being together during that time period, and just some of the things that we've experienced that have shaped our marriage and turned around and affected us personally as well, and like with our own personal growth. Because we have a slogan here actually, which is, don't be together, grow together. And so
it's all about that growth.
We just kind of want to encourage people that are in young relationships that even though you're going to have bad days, you need to work it out. You have to work it out because it's not just about you. It's about the generations after you. And so,
even though we have those stereotypes that we all face as, young couples, especially a black couple.
Right.
Which brings us to our topic today, which is having those stereotypes, being young and black, and the stereotypes that we face.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of the biggest things that we deal with is they tell you got to be strong, you got to be resilient, you got to stand, deal with anything. But in reality, we know in America, we know all the stuff we deal with, it's hard.
Right. And I want to read this for you guys because we did do, Adam did do some research, and he looked up some stereotypes because I was like, what are the stereotypes of being young, black, and married? I feel like you don't really hear about those stereotypes all the time, or like you don't know that people think that this is the stereotype in our community. For us, so
everything can be studied, and there's been peer-reviewed studies,
right?
So you can really research for yourself too,
right? But we're gonna read the little things that Adam has found for you guys, so you can kind of get an idea of what we're talking about, and then we're just gonna talk about that, John. But as far as being stronger, resilient, they say that black couples are often portrayed as exceptionally strong and resilient in the face of adversity.
Yes, and we know as black people that there's a lot of systemic things that cause that adversity.
Yeah.
So you can be strong and you can be resilient, but you still get broken down.
Right.
You still have faults. You still have downfalls. You still have betrayals throughout your life. And so all of these things wear down on you. And so it may be that black people are viewed as strong and resilient, but when you look outside, it's not what you see.
Mm-hmm.
You see us as the most impoverished people.
Right.
You know, you see us as the most struggling people, the people that don't have any really infrastructure in this country.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely that's it's like it's on the surface, but under the water is not what you see.
Yeah, I agree. I think that in order to be called resilient and strong in the face of anything, we have had to have something coming at us that we had to be resilient and strong from. And so systemic racism, slavery has definitely
Mass incarceration.
forced us. Come on now. Like open killings. It's just, just everything that we go through here in America we have to be that or we're not going to survive.
Absolutely.
You have to be these things. It's not just that we are, not to say that we're not, but in the stereotype that gives that to us is given to us by the same people that is doing the things to us.
Exactly.
So we need to let this go and remember that black people are people, and some people are strong and some people are not.
But we're all people at the end of the day. Look at each other as equal, and that's really all it comes down to: just being a decent person.
Right.
And I feel like another misconception are stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going for today. Another stereotype is, that black people are super passionate and expressive all the time, especially couples. They're always going to be in the lobby kissing each other, or in the lobby arguing, or in the lobby, acting crazy and wild, and snapping face pictures and all this stuff like that. But really, I grew up in a household where my parents didn't really show a lot of, just touching and kissing and hugging each other like that. So I feel like that's another thing with the strong and resilient. Everybody has to look at each other as human, as just another person, because we start feeling like, okay, they're more passionate and expressive than another person. And then that's when we start putting it you put black people in the box like, oh, they're just entertainers, or they're just this or that.
You know what? I feel like I would definitely say that me as a black woman am very passionate and expressive when it comes to our relationship. So I can definitely see the idea behind the relationship, but behind the stereotype. But we want to always break those apart because stereotypes are just that.
Yep.
They're just that.
And let's get this right, because stereotypes are something that they generalize to one group of people,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Based off of person.
And we know, look at an Italian family. Oh my goodness, they'll be screaming, hollering loud. It's very expressive, very,
Right.
lively. There's several
Right.
different cultures that are very lively and expressive. So that's what I mean, how we got to look at everybody as human and really, get out of that mindset, because that hurts the community. That hurts young black couples. That hurts black couples more than anything.
And then it's interesting because that means that all the our other cultures, how many other cultures are passionate and expressive? You don't have to just
They can be who they are.
Minimize it down to that. I think just we're people, and as people we are passionate and expressive. It's not because we're black, it's because we are alive.
Exactly. From family to family.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of ties in to our next point about these stereotypes, which is they feel like black couples is just a close-knit family.
Mm-hmm.
They come from a close-knit family, so all they know is close-knit families, and now they're going to be a close-knit family. And that's very often not the case. Definitely. Now I will say this. I will say your immediate black household, when you're married, many that I've seen, they have a very, they love each other, they're passionate with each other. But as far as like again, when I was growing up, we weren't very close. We weren't playing with each other all the time. We didn't go out to restaurants to eat. you know, especially with my a wider family. We didn't once a year we would go and visit them. Now, in Zadi's situation, her situation was much better.
Yeah, I definitely and this is what we're talking about, because now we just now in this instant we have two completely different experiences with this stereotype. But yeah, I my family is close. Like I remember growing up and going to big family reunions where you meet cousins that you didn't know you had, and people walking up to you talking about, "Do you remember me? You remember me?" No, you never remember. You would never remember them because you was probably like 9 months old, or 3 or 4 years old the last time you saw them. But it was always like that big, big cookout, country family. We own land, so we always would be on the land doing whatever we wanted to do. And it was a lot of us, the generations before me, where it was just kids, all kids around, and it was always active where I was. It was always family around, no matter what day of the week it was. It was always like at least 5, 6 of us at a time. So yeah, and we were all cousins. We all lived on the same road. We all went to the same school. So,
and just the opposite of that, I experienced that one day out of the year. So that shows you, the stereotypes are not real.
Right. Right.
They're not real. It's from person to person. We're all human. You know, and really, everybody having that spirit of we're all human. That really transcends into another stereotype that we have, or we see about Black people being super spiritual and religious. Now, I'm going to be honest. This one is true.
Yeah.
This one. Now let me separate it. Let me separate it, because what she just said too. It's always truth and a lie. That's very true. So let me separate spiritual and let me separate religious.
Right.
Now this is where this stereotype is a little bit warped and it gets wrong. Because Black people are the most giving to religious churches and stuff like that in America. We're the most devoted to religion in America. We give the most dollars to that industry. We are the most faithful to the book here in America out of any other demographic. And it makes sense because our background of slavery, and that's what we were given here, so that's all we know. But, in lieu of that, right now, I feel like in the last maybe 15 to 20 years, there's been a spiritual movement. There's been a conscious movement, that's spiritual and conscious the word has been used synonymously. And that's the movement that is happening right now. And so I feel like the next generations will be more of the spiritual side than going by the book side. And I don't think it's a bad thing either way, how whatever floats your boat, whatever you want to do. But I feel like that's the way it's going.
Right. I feel like I definitely agree with that. Spiritual is, if you are a Black person, you are automatically more connected to spirit. You're automatically more connected. You're born more connected. And it's because of the makeup of your body.
Yep.
So you're more connected, and that's just a fact. So yeah,
absolutely.
This is not a stereotype when it comes to being spiritual. But religious, I would say, if you think about how devoted we are to things, then yes, but just because you're Black, doesn't mean that you're in religion. So
exactly, and we're a strong people, and that's literally another stereotype that we have. They people assuming throughout history that Black people are just this. We have this strong work ethic. We just have this super strong work ethic, and that's dangerous because that led to things like slavery. That led to things like mass incarceration. This fear that people have of us, and that we're just some strong mongering people, that we don't use our intellect, even though we've invented hundreds of things here in America that are essential. But and even thousands of millions of things throughout history. But we are a very strong and hard-working people, right? But I give it to you like this: if there's a car coming behind you and you're in a narrow pathway, you have no choice but to run away from that car. So sometimes the people are put in a situation where they have no choice but to work as hard as they can to make the same amount to live in the conditions that they're in. So that's where that stereotype comes from.
Right.
That comes from us having no choice here in these conditions to show that we're the best at our job, to show that we're the best driver, to show that we're the best in this sports field, to show that we're the best just to even make it or be accepted in that industry.
Right.
So it's again, you know, we have to all be looked at as human at the end of the day.
Right.
You meet this one black person, he might not have a strong work ethic, but that doesn't mean that now you feel like he's an inferior black man,
right,
because he's one that doesn't have a strong work ethic. Everybody is different. He might not be working physically like that, but he might use his mind in a different way.
Right.
He might use his spirit in a different way. Right. So we got to start looking at it as a whole, as united.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I think that the concepts of like what hard work looks like now in America is shifting, because now people think hard work is equivalent to just making money.
Yeah, it's gonna be working from home, but too.
If you make enough money, they feel like you're working hard, and so, but that's not true. And I want to say though, with the comment that black people have a strong work ethic, I think that is just a natural thing about being black. You know, I think this is one of the truths, you know, within the lies is that we come from a people that are the hardest working. That's just what that is. We come from the originals. And so if we build everything, you kind of work harder than, you know, everything else, because you're building the things around them. And so we as a people, I mean, when we was in Africa, we went to Gambia this past February, we literally saw a side of a building. We was only down there for 2 weeks. We saw the side of the building be built all the way up in the span of a week.
Not just built up, we saw them take the material away, break it down with their hands.
That's what I'm saying.
Carry every piece of rock away with their hands.
Oh my!
In America, we got excavators and stuff, you know.
And
it was like 10 of them, 20 of them out there.
They have machines, but it was more people than machines, and they were just getting the work done. But that's because they didn't have more machines.
Again, that car, and you in the alleyway, you got no choice but to
go one direction. They didn't have more machines. We could go into that. But they didn't have enough machines, so they had to use their hands, and that's where that comes from. Yeah. So it's always just let black people, let African people, let
black couples,
Africans, and yes, and specifically us, let us leave us alone. Yeah. But that's not going to happen here in America, and that's why we're moving to Gambia, Africa, because Africa is the only place that actually will love you being a young black couple. They look at us in Africa and say yes. They say good job. They say keep, you know, they encourage the relationship rather than tear it down. And as a matter of fact, they don't even put anything in front of your face to try to help you tear your relationship down. You're not looking at the next person comparing, because you have calmness. You know, you have peace of mind. You get to slow down. You get to think for yourself, and you know that stress of life I mean, it goes away. We have not been happier in our relationship than when we were in Africa.
And you know,
besides when we first met.
And you know, it's crazy because back to like we said about those guys with the strong work ethic and them getting on their rubble out there, we are a resilient people. But you know, the stereotype that we're resilient in the face of discrimination, I feel like that's a complete farce.
Right.
You know, I feel like that's bull. Because again, if you have no choice to have civil rights movements and do all of that stuff about, you know, try to fight against discrimination, that's the only choice you have. So you're going to have that moniker on you, but that's not true. Because again, a lot of parts of the world, you know, people didn't go through that. And when we travel, like she was just saying, in Africa, we saw people that didn't even understand how we felt about, you know, slavery and the whole situation with colonization. There's some people that just want to just turn a blind eye almost to it, but it's not really turning a blind eye. It's kind of, they don't really know. You know, they haven't experienced what we've experienced here. So that resilience in the face of discrimination thing, we've had to be strong, you know, and as Black couples, we've had to be strong against, you know, everything that we've dealt with in the past and the things that we're going through still to this day, because we know that they're trying to break up Black couples. They're trying to keep us separated. You know, that's the discrimination right now that we're getting. They're trying to, there's systemic things that are being put out to make sure that we separate and that we don't stick together. And so the resilience is us sticking together, us staying one.
Right. Well, I can agree, but you know, I definitely feel like, you know, the environment that we are in is the reason for, and once again, you know, we keep saying that these stereotypes are based out of racism. They're based out of racism. Because, and it's interesting to even think that they think like this about, because when you find little documents and stuff like this, I can tell you firsthand experience that white people honestly truly believe this.
Oh yeah.
They believe this to their core, to the point to where, and if you've never experienced it, please believe me. They believe the things that they read because it's coming from their government, it's coming from their people.
Absolutely.
Everything that they read, they believe. And some of them, you know, pick it apart and say, well, that's not right, but it never goes down deep enough to the core problem, which will always and forever be slavery.
Yeah. You know, Black couples, we are resilient, but when you have to be resilient, I wouldn't call it a stereotype.
Yeah.
I would say an honest stereotype is something like Black people have darker skin. Yes, we do. That's something that you can't really argue about. Even if you lighten the spectrum, right? Because Black people, we can't have all the skin tones, but we generally have darker skin. So that's a true stereotype. But you know, the saying that we're all resilient in the face of discrimination, we all have strong work ethic, those things are dangerous stereotypes.
Yeah.
And you know, and another one is that we all celebrate Black culture. That is not true. Absolutely not true. Not all Black couples, not all Black people celebrate Black culture.
Oh, no.
And if you say that, oh, I celebrate Black culture, but I won't take a trip to Africa.
Oh my God.
You sound like a bird saying that I'm going swimming today.
Come on now.
You know, no, it's not.
And we don't need you to just say it. We need you to buy that plane ticket, and we need you to get over to Africa.
And even if you don't buy a plane ticket and get over to Africa, there's communities and there's groups. Like we have a group, a GCO network business group on WhatsApp that we'll link, you know, below this video. We have a group right now that we're trying to put investors together, put real business together to invest in a real way. That's celebration of the culture. Celebration of the culture is putting something into the culture. If you're not willing to do anything as far as Black people go, because America is not Black culture. America is designed culture for us. Remember what I said earlier. The first thing they gave us when we got here, or even before, was a book. They gave us the Bible. From the beginning, they tried to design us. So we must realize that celebrating our culture is not celebrating hip hop. It's not celebrating the NBA.
Right.
It's not celebrating stuff that's not owned by us. Because most of the NBA teams are not owned by us, and the starting ones were not owned by us. The music industries, none of the corporations are owned by us. So we can't say we can celebrate those things if they're not owned by us.
Right.
The entertainment industry, Tyler Perry has a studio which is fantastic. Hollywood still owns America. So Hollywood still paints the picture with the CIA, with the American C. So we need to actually celebrate something that we can put investments in, see real change in. And like I said at first, if you don't plan on going to Africa, you don't think Africa is good in any capacity, there's no way you can be celebrating culture.
You definitely cannot. You have to go back in history and learn about self if you really want to celebrate the culture of who we really are. And yes, a lot of us don't know exactly where we're from, You don't know if your ancestors are from Nigeria, Gambia, Ghana, Tanzania, Uganda. You don't know really where you're from, and we're in that space too, where we don't know, our real true roots. But we are still black, and so guess what? You can still do. You can go and you can go anywhere in Africa, and you will find people that look like you, people that think like you, people that have the same skin tone as you. Maybe even you'll start seeing your mama, you'll start seeing your cousin. Like you like, oh my gosh, that look like, wait a minute, is that? And you're gonna look twice because you're like, wait a minute, that's not her, but she looks just like her. Because, we're from everywhere. So I'm always gonna say, Adam, he's giving y'all grace, and he's letting y'all just support monetarily. But me, you need to get up and you need to get there. You need to make it a point in your life that once, even ever, before you pass, that you touch your feet somewhere that the ancestors wish that they could have been. You have to come back.
Most of us, out of 400 years of slavery and these 120 odd years of freedom, most of us will never go back.
Yeah.
And we're free.
Yep.
And that's big.
Yep.
So the ones that do is even bigger.
Please. And we're not saying that that's easy. That's not what we're saying. We're not saying, oh, y'all need to buy a ticket tomorrow and go and do this. But, plan to do it. And also, that's one of the things that one of the big reasons why we're going back. That's one of our missions, is to make it to where young Black people can come and visit Africa at reasonable prices, and decent rates, and also in a trustworthy, landing spot.
Absolutely.
And that's just what it is. And to have, be around genuine people and not ever feel like anybody is out to get you, or just that pressure that a lot of
stereotypes, yeah.
Right. But, and not even that, but just a lot of baggage that comes with us as being Black Americans. We go over there and we experience other African Americans, and you feel like it should be happy, it should be go lucky, and it does not. It's not that.
Yep.
It's not that. And so we want to create a place to where, even though, we are African American, we're getting out of it, or at least we feel like we're getting out of it as soon as we are, to be able to deal with a lot of the baggage and allow genuine connections.
Absolutely.
With other African Americans, and not bring that separatism mindset that a lot of us have.
Exactly. And we also want you guys to let us know what you think about this. Like, we want you guys to comment below. We're going to have eventually live streams too, where you guys can chime in and ask us questions and things of that nature. And we want you guys to, please, can't say this enough, because Black media is a part of real Black culture. Right. And we have to, whenever we have something like this, we need to support. So please comment and subscribe, and share.
Right.
Too, because there's a lot of other Black couples. You don't have to be married. Black couples are just individuals that are aspiring to find that person that they love. That if this information is strong and it's good for them. And we're going to have several more episodes about different topics, guys. So please stay with us.